Is it possible to shoot a bow from a galloping horse while hanging off the side of the horse at the same time? In the 1972 film Jeremiah Johnson, when the title character first arrived in the American frontier, he learned the ways of the mountain men from his mentor, Bear Claw Chris Lapp, including knowledge of the riding and shooting skills of the Native Americans. Bear Claw said, "There ain't a man alive can match them on a horse. I've seen them run with one foot on the horse's rump, one wrist through a loop in the mane, shooting arrows and guns under the horse's neck." Was he exaggerating? Riding and shooting tricks have been on display for as long as there has been an audience to enjoy them. Even as recently as the 2016 movie The Magnificent Seven, when actor Denzel Washington's character threw his right leg to the left side of the horse, hung by one stirrup on the left side while aiming to the right, and shot down a couple of bad guys over the horse's back. The 1956 movie Westward Ho! The Wagons showed horsemanship closer to what Bear Claw described. In a shootout between American pioneers taking cover behind rocks and Native Americans riding in circles in front of them. These riders hung on the right side of their horses and fired rifles to their left under the horses' necks. A front view shows one of them dropping to the right behind his galloping horse and raising his rifle with one hand under the horse's neck. See how easy it is? The choice of orientation on the horse is briefly described in the 1980 book American Indian Archery. In war, the enemy was circled counterclockwise so that arrows or bullets could be shot to the left. The cover image of the 2010 book Warfare, Economy, and Technology of Native North Americans shows us another warrior shooting under his horse's neck. Not just a modern invention, these kinds of attacks are described in the 1859 book The Prairie Traveler, a handbook for overland expeditions. The Comanches, Sioux, and other prairie tribes make their attacks upon the open prairies. Trusting to their wonderful skill in equitation and horsemanship, they ride around their enemies with their bodies thrown upon the opposite side of the horse, and discharge their arrows in rapid succession while at full speed. Such horsemanship was also described in the 1860 book Absaraka, Home of the Crows. Dashing directly forward at a run, with the person crouched on the pony's neck, and wheeling only to throw himself out of sight and pass his arrows and bullets under the animal's neck before he returns for a fresh venture. How they fought from horseback is also described in the 1895 book Conquering the Wilderness, or New Pictorial History of the Life and Times of the Pioneer Heroes and Heroines of America. When bands of Sioux and Pawnee warriors engaged each other near the Republican River, as described by American fur trapper and explorer Jim Beckwith, who watched with others from the safety of the wagons. The Injuns didn't have many guns them days, but you can just rest assured they used the arrows for what was out, that they went circling round each other, bending under their horses' necks and letting the arrows fly. At one time, the air was filled so full of arrows that they shut out the sunlight and made a cloud. The accompanying illustration shows at least 6 of these riders shooting bows while leaning over one side of their horses' necks, with one arm hanging over and the other under the neck, and hands holding the bow on the other side. Meanwhile, the last rider leans to the side but shoots over the horse's neck. The 1960 book Indians of the Plains describes the observations of American explorer and pioneer George Catlin. In the summer of 1834, George Catlin wrote, "A Comanche on his feet is out of his element. But the moment he lays his hands upon his horse, his face even becomes handsome, and he gracefully flies away like a different being." Catlin, a lawyer turned painter, was one of the first Americans to live among the Plains Indians. He was deeply impressed with the horsemanship of the Indians. Horsemanship such as what Catlin painted here in the mid-1830s. showing a warrior leaning over his horse's neck and shooting over its back, which was later reproduced as a pencil drawing in the 1854 book Thrilling Adventures Among the Indians. Catlin gives an astonishing account of the skill with which the Comanche Indians of northern Texas manage their horses. Among their feats of riding, there is one that has astonished me more than anything of the kind I have ever seen or expect to see in my life, by which he is able to drop his body upon the side of his horse at the instant he is passing, effectually screening from his enemy's weapons as he lies in a horizontal position behind the body of his horse, with his heel hanging over the horse's back, by which he has the power of throwing himself up again and changing to the other side of the horse if necessary. In this wonderful condition he will hang while his horse is at fullest speed, carrying with him his bow and shield, and also his long lance of 14 feet in length, all or either of which he will wield upon his enemy as he passes, rising and throwing his arrows over the horse's back, or, with equal ease and equal success, under the horse's neck. I have conversed with some of the young men of the Pawnees, who practice the same feat, and who told me they could throw the arrow from under the horse's belly, and elevate it upon an enemy with deadly effect. This astonishing feat, which the young men have been repeatedly playing off to our surprise as well as amusement, while they have been galloping about in front of our tents, completely puzzled the whole of us, and appeared to be the result of magic rather than of skill acquired by practice. I had several times great curiosity to approach them, to ascertain by what means their bodies could be suspended in this manner, where nothing could be seen but the heel hanging over the horse's back. In this endeavor I was continually frustrated, until one day I coaxed a young fellow up within a little distance of me by offering him a few plugs of tobacco. I found on examination that a short hair halter was passed around under the neck of the horse, and both ends tightly braided into the mane on the withers, leaving a loop to hang under the neck and against the breast, which, being caught up in the hand, makes a sling into which the elbow falls, taking the weight of the body on the middle of the upper arm. Into this loop the rider drops suddenly and fearlessly, leaving his heel to hang over the back of the horse to steady him, and also to restore him when he wishes to gain his upright position on the horse's back. A people who spend so very great a part of their lives actually on their horses' backs must needs become exceedingly expert in everything that pertains to riding, to war, or to the chase. American Indian archery summarized the technique as follows. A warrior braided a rope loop into his horse's mane, and by putting his left arm through it, and hanging his left leg over the cantle of his saddle, or hooking his heel over the horse's back, his leg through the barrel rope, he could shoot low over the horse's neck, or even from under the neck, and hardly expose any of his own body to the enemy's view. Finally, let's look at one more painting, from the cover of the 2009 book Circle the Wagons, with this description on the title page. Poster of American Indians attacking covered wagons, Courier Lithograph Company, Buffalo, New York, 1899. The book cover came from a poster for Buffalo Bill's Wild West show of the late 1800s. And a reverse colorless version of this painting appeared in an 1896 program for the same show, with the caption, Indians Attacking Wagon Train. The book also describes an attack on a military wagon train in Texas in 1874. Near evening, hundreds of warriors rode out and began slowly circling the besieged wagon train in what was called an awesome display of barbaric horsemanship. Some sat erect and stoic, others acrobatically rode hunched down on the far side of their ponies, firing from underneath their necks. Still others were seen standing on their ponies' backs. Hollywood could not have conjured up a finer display. So now we know Bear Claw was not exaggerating. Have you seen that kind of horsemanship in real life? We'd love to hear about it. Let us know in the comments, and thank you for watching. Please like this video and see links in the description below to watch Jeremiah Johnson and Westward Ho! The Wagons.